hey, congratulations for Night Raiders.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was such a wonderful movie, especially the diverse indigenous characters in a sci-fi film like this. But let's ask that easy question. What initially attracted you to the project like this?
Working with Janice Goulet was hands down the most important draw for me. Janice has been a friend and mentor for quite a few years, and I just so deeply admire and respect her work. So I jumped at the opportunity to work with Janice. And then secondly, the script was like nothing I'd ever read before. And I was just so intrigued by this character of Niska and being able to go on that sort of journey with her.
Now, this is Dana's first feature film because I think she directed a few shorts. What did you see, in a film like this that you knew that Danis is going to make an indie hit like this?
Well, Janice had just such a strong vision from the start, and she built this beautiful tapestry of characters that reflected so many Indigenous people that I know and in this world that we exist in. And I felt like it was an incredible opportunity to tell a story that's familiar to all Indigenous people, but to do so through the lens of this dystopian, apocalyptic sci-fi thriller. And so I think it's this really beautiful, like politicized vehicle that attracts people, from an entertainment perspective because it's science fiction and it's action and but it's going to challenge audiences to think about these deeper issues of cultural genocide and settler colonialism and all of the other big themes that she talks about through this film.
There are a lot of big themes in this film. That is for certain. Do you get a lot of chances to work on indigenous themed projects like this?
Yeah, my career as of the last, I would say, 5 years or so has been mostly just indigenously led projects. I've worked with Jeff Barnaby and most recently Darlene DePonce, and then in my own films as a filmmaker, I co-wrote and co-directed The Body Remembers When the World Broke Open, and yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to be immersed in the Indigenous film community, and as an actor have been able to work with some really incredible directors.
Well, of course, it's a silly question to ask, but it's very important to ask. Is why is it so important to you, these indigenous types of films?
Because we as Indigenous people have become so accustomed to seeing ourselves misrepresented on screen or not represented at all, and so it's an incredible feeling to be able to see ourselves on screen in an authentic way, in material that's coming from Indigenous writers and directors, because that lived experience is so invaluable when it comes to telling stories for the screen. And there's such power in these stories. I mean, Night Raiders is speaking about residential schools. It's speaking about child removal and the forced removal of children from our communities. It's speaking about poverty and state violence in really innovative ways, and that's so exciting as an Indigenous person, as an Indigenous actor, and also as an Indigenous filmmaker to be able to witness this beautiful wave of fresh stories that are coming from really exciting voices within the Indigenous cinema world.
Could you, if you don't mind, could you tell us your specific Indigenous background?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Blackfoot from the Kainai First Nation in southern Alberta, Canada. It's part of the Blackfoot Confederacy, and I'm also Sami from northern Norway. So my father lives over there, and my mother lives at home on the reserve in Alberta.
Oh, well, the film Night Raiders is the characters are what Cree background is that a lot different from what you're used to culturally?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all, as Indigenous people in North America, have very similar relationships with the government and with settler colonialism. But we as a people, the Blackfoot and the Cree, are different culturally. I mean, there's a lot that's similar, but we're different tribal nations. But it was a beautiful experience to be able to see the world through Danis's eyes, who's so passionate about Cree theologies, Cree ways of seeing the world, and also Cree language revitalization. So Danis's father was on set a lot, and he's an incredible Cree thinker and philosopher, and also was there as a I guess a language coach. So it was really profound to be able to know that I was participating in a project that that was really part of something bigger about cultural and language revitalization that are specific to the Cree.
So when you played Niska for the film, I'm just going to go out on a limb. You didn't understand any of the Cree language that they were speaking on the film.
No. I think that's common for a lot of Indigenous actors is we're playing, I've had to speak Mi'kmaq and Anishinaabe-Moan and Cree all on screen, and those are not my people or my languages, but it was sure cool to be able to, hear the language and to have Cree linguists there to guide us through the process, so we actually understood what we were saying rather than just speaking phonetics out of our mouth. But Gail Maurice, who plays Ida, she's a fluent Cree speaker, and so it was so great to have her on set as a resource, and just to know that we were around someone who's an expert in the language.
Was it nerve-wracking trying to pronounce some of these words phonetically? Because I guess like for some people they would worry if they speak in like an accent or mispronounce these words.
Oh yeah, it was so nerve-wracking, especially because the language matters. Our languages were nearly killed by the residential school system and the foster care system. The state has systematically tried to erase our languages because there's a great deal of power in language. And so it was very not stressful, but I would say a massive responsibility to try and get it right. Because, like I said, the language matters and language has power, and I just wanted to honor the truth and beauty of the Cree language.
So I'm curious, you can speak Blackfoot and Sami then?
No, I speak Sami, but not Blackfoot. I was lucky enough to be able to speak Sami as my first language, but like so many people whose grandparents or parents went to residential school, Blackfoot was not taught to me as a child. So yeah, it's a very real thing in my life.
Great. What was the production set like that Danis helped create of this sci-fi world? Did it look like a dystopian world?
Oh yeah. The art director and the production designer, the whole team were so talented. Everybody knew exactly what needed to be done to build this world, and so walking onto set every day was it was so easy to place myself in Niska's shoes, because this whole team had built a beautiful / very ugly dystopian world. And so yeah, Danis worked with just an incredibly talented team.
Great. Did you how did you get in the headspace of your character Niska? I mean, the character is like a mother missing her child throughout the entire film, but of course, going through all these different emotions.
Yeah, I mean, Niska to me represents so many Indigenous women I know, so many people who have been touched by trauma, and are existing on the margins and are very reluctant heroes within our communities. And so I was guided by their stories, and I consistently had to remind myself that Niska's main motivation is her love for her daughter and her right to be a mother. And so those were kind of the things that I consistently reminded myself of every day, is that though Niska lives in this, dystopian future, she is very real. Her story is so common with so many women that I know. So yeah, I just wanted to honor their experiences, and also honor the beauty and the love of that connection between a mother and child.
So how was it working along with the child actor Brooklyn in this film?
Oh, it was wonderful. Brooklyn is so talented and so bright, and just also very aware of political issues impacting Indigenous people. So she was so aware of the weight of the story that we were telling, the complexities of the story we were telling, and also the responsibilities that we had. So it was wonderful working with her.
Now, did you have to do any preparation in playing Niska, like shooting guns and all this kind of stuff, or were you familiar with this?
Yeah, we had to do some gun training and did some horseback riding, and we had a really great stunt team. So our stunt team, our stunt coordinators, did some work with myself and a bunch of the other actors, because there's so much action in the film, which was really fun. It was such an active role, and I so appreciated being able to play this tough Indigenous woman on screen.
Now, you've done you wore so many hats through your career, directing, producing, writing, and even acting. Which do you enjoy the most for you? Do you love the acting side of things?
I love it all. They're very different beasts. So I really appreciate just being able to tell stories that matter. And when it comes to acting, I love working with directors who have a strong vision and who are doing something different. So yeah, working with Danis was wonderful, and so yeah, you know what? I just love doing it all, and what's most important is just telling stories that matter.
Well, Elle, this story for Night Raiders is a very important story to tell. Well, thank you very much for carrying this conversation with us. It's a lovely meeting you.
You too. Thank you so much.